Today we are all about the scrunchies. Your fabric is 35 inches long. It's fold off fabric, so it's right sides facing. And just make sure that they are both flattened again on the floor. Just for you, the giant scissors. Yeah, we've tied that off in a knot at the end here now. That can just go inside that. Hi guys, welcome back to my channel and welcome if you are new. Today we are all about the scrunchie. We are going to be making scrunchies. It's a very quick, easy, simple scrunchie to make. I use the burrito method. You may have heard of it. If not, stick around and I will show you how we do that. I would say these are a large size scrunchie. They're definitely not XL, but they're a decent size, as you can see. So they are definitely a large. And this is what we will be making today. It's a very quick, simple, easy beginner project. 10 minutes. Let's go. So guys, for today's project, all we need are two things. That is our fabric and our elastic. So your fabric is 35 inches long and 5.5 inches wide, and your elastic is 10 inches. Okay guys, so let's get started. The first thing we need to do is fold off fabric so it's right sides facing. Just fold it in half so those ends meet and it's nice and neat. And all we're going to do is simply stitch down this end about 1/4 inch in. Let's take this to the machine and start making our scrunchie. Okay guys, so that is those two pieces stitched together. You may have noticed I did back stitch on either side just to make that nice and secure. I've cut off all those loose threads and we are good to go. So next up we need to get our seam right down the center here and just open that up and give it a little press. If you've got one of these little gadgets, it's great. If not, you can use your fingers or you can even press it with the iron. Okay, so that's nice and flat. We're going to flip that over. And now we need to fold our fabric into this little sort of burrito pocket. So we're going to take this side here. We're going to fold that over. Just press that down. And we're going to fold the other side over as well to meet the end there. And fold that over. Then we're going to take this end and fold that right the way over to meet the top of the other side. Just take a little clip and secure that. Just make sure those seams are just nice and flat. And then all you want to do is just pop a few more clips on just to keep it all in place. So just go along, make sure it's all lined up nicely and pop a few of your little clips or your pins, whatever it is that you prefer to use. I just prefer these clips. So that is that all clipped and ready to take to the machine. So here we are, we're at the machine, it's all pinned, it's ready, it's in this little burrito pocket type thing. And we're going to take this to the machine now and simply start stitching down the side. But you'll see as we go, and I'll explain as we go, as we stitch, we also pull the fabric through. Might not make a lot of sense just hearing it, but let's get to the machine, we'll start sewing and I'll talk you through it. Okay guys, so I've placed our fabric under the machine. It doesn't really matter where you start. I've just started a couple of inches from the top. I've placed it under the machine. We are now going to start stitching about 1/4 inch from the edge. And we're going to start stitching down, removing the clips as we go. So let's start and then I'll talk you through. Don't forget to do a little back stitch at the beginning there just to make sure that's nice and secure. Okay, so just slow down, take your clip off. And keep going. When you get to that bit where our seams are that we flattened, just make sure that they are both flattened again on either side and carry on. What you need to make sure of, guys, is the bit that's in the middle that we folded. You don't want to catch that as you're sewing. So that folded piece in the middle is roughly about here. So you don't want to catch that under the needle. So if you just keep going, remove them clips, keep sewing. Keep going. But before you reach the end, so we've got a couple of inches to the end there, what you need to do now is open up the fabric and start pulling the inside material through. So I'm just going to rejig the camera so you can see from this angle. So I've moved the camera around so you can see. So you see inside here, we've got that fabric that we folded over inside. So what we need to start doing now is pulling that out. So if you start pulling it through, it does scrunch up at the end, so you just have to keep sort of straightening it as you go. So pull a bit out, and that's going to give you a bit more material. So just tuck that in again, fold them ends, let them meet nice and neat, and then continue sewing. So keep going all the way down, making sure you're not catching that material in the middle inside. Then once you get near the end again, we just open it up, we pull that material out again. Ooh. It might look a bit fiddly, but I promise you it's not. Then get them two ends again to meet up nice and neat, and stitch a bit more. And you just keep repeating that process. Keep pulling out, keep stitching, keep pulling it out, keep stitching until you get almost to the end. You'll see where you started because you'll start to see your stitches. That's when we stop, because we do need to leave a little gap about 1 inch or 2 wide so that we can pull the fabric right side out at the end. So let me crack on with this. I'll put you on a hyperlapse so it doesn't take up too much time, because it can be pretty boring to just sit and watch. So let's carry on. We'll get this stitched up and then I'll talk you through the next stage. Okay guys, you can see I'm almost coming to the end now, because that's where our stitches started. You can see just here. So we've got a couple of inches there. So I'm just going to stitch a little bit more because I don't want to leave that gap too big. And don't forget to back stitch at the end again, just to secure that. So I'm going to leave about that much because that's just enough to pull it through. Okay, so we'll lift our needle up. Let's take that out the machine. Okay guys, so we've took that out of the machine and this is what we're left with. You can see we've stitched all the way across, and then just at the top here is our little opening that we've left so that we can pull the scrunchie through. So before we do any of that, let's get rid of all these loose threads and get them out the way. Let's snip them off, get this all tidied up and ready to flip right side out. Okay, so we've snipped them extra threads off. All we need to do now is find our little opening. If you just feel inside, you'll find the middle piece of fabric. You just want to grab hold of that and then pull it all through. It will just come out quite easily. Just take it nice and slowly because you don't want to tear your threads or anything like that. So just keep feeding it through. Little bit at a time, then you'll find it'll all come through and you end up then with this big long piece. Okay, so there we have your scrunchie piece ready for the elastic. It's all right side out now, so it's all nice and neat. As you can see, it's all sewn nice and neat. And we've just got our little, where's our opening gone? There it is, a little gap there that we will stitch up at the very end. So that little gap also is where we will thread our elastic through. So right now we've got our scrunchie all stitched and ready. It's just time to feed through the elastic. So let's grab the elastic and we'll get that done. Okay guys, so the next stage is to feed our elastic inside our little tube here. That's what will ultimately make it a scrunchie. So we need to thread our elastic. I have one of these little gadgets. If you don't have one of these, it's absolutely fine. You can use a safety pin. Just attach the safety pin to the end and feed it through that way. I've got one of these, so I'm going to use that because it's just a little bit easier. So we need to find that little hole that we left earlier, take our little gadget with our elastic on and start feeding it through. What you do need to be careful of is that you don't let the elastic at this end go through. You need this to stop here. So what I tend to do when I get a little bit further round, let me just pull this through. So when it's almost through, I put a little clip on the end there and attach it to the fabric so that I don't make the mistake of pulling it through. I mean, you might not need to do that, that's just me, because for sure I would pull it through. I still do. So we just feed this all the way round, all the way, keep going until we come out of the little hole where we started from, where our clip is. So we pull it right the way through. I'm going to take that clip off now because I've got hold of both ends. So just give it a little jig, little jiggle. Take that off now, we don't need that. And yeah, just have a little play with it. But you can see now it's taken shape. So all we need to do now is tie off these end bits of elastic. Now there are different ways you can do this. You can either tie it in a knot or a double knot, or some people I know take it to the machine. They bind them together and run it through the machine several times. I do prefer to tie it in a knot just because I think it's more secure that way. So that's what I'm going to do. So guys, by the way, those that have been here before, just for you, the giant scissors always make an appearance. So yeah, we've tied that off in a knot at the end here now. That can just go inside that little pocket. And all we have to do now is literally the little gap that we had there. We just need to close that seam up. So just fold in the little edges there. Take it to your machine, and it's just like an inch worth of stitching that you need to do just to close that seam. So let's take this to machine, do that, and that is literally it. Our scrunchie will be finished. Okay guys, so that seam is now closed up. I've done a little back stitch again at the beginning and at the ends just to make that nice and secure. All we need to do now is remove them threads. When you are sewing that little seam up, try and get as close to the edge as possible. So if you get it nice and close to the edge there, I don't know if you can see that. And yeah, that's just a little bit better. And then that's it, your scrunchie is done. Just give it a little jig about. Fix those ruffles, make them nice and fluffy, and basically that is it. There is your scrunchie. I mean, how lovely is that? Nice and fluffy. Obviously, depending on how wide you do your material, on how long rather you do your material, depends on how many ruffles there are and how scrunchy like it is. I like mine to be quite ruffly, so yeah, mine was 35 inches I think I said, wasn't it? 35 inches by 5.5. That allows for a little bit of seam allowance as well. But that is the finished product. So it's a nice large size scrunchie. If you wanted them bigger, like an XL size, obviously you need to be using a lot more fabric. For my hair, an XL is too big anyway because I've got very short, fine hair. Well, not short hair, but fine hair. But yeah, that's it. Let me grab the other ones that I've already done. So these are a couple of the others that I've made. They're just really cute. They're lovely. And these are also really good to sell on your little stalls if you have market stalls. Things like that. So yeah, a nice easy one to try, especially if you're new to sewing. This is the burrito method. I know there are different methods, different ways of making scrunchies. You may find other ways easier for you. For me, I prefer this way because I just like the finish on it. Some of the others, they have the big seams going across and things like that, and I don't particularly like it. But if it's just for yourself, who cares? You do them however you like. this is my preferred method, so I just thought I would share that with you. So that's it, guys. Scrunchies done. Thank you so much for being here and watching this little tutorial on how I do my scrunchies. I hope you found it useful, and it'd be really good to hear if you do give it a go. Let me know in the comments how you get on, if you found it easy or not, or if you've got a different way, a different method that you use. You can share it with me and anybody else who's reading the comments, because it might be helpful. You never know. But thank you for watching today. Thank you for being here on my channel. Please like, subscribe, share, comment, all of them good things, because it will help my channel grow, which is a big aim for me this year for 2025. I want to grow my YouTube channel. I want to do more tutorials. I want to share it with you. And yeah, I'm enjoying the process. So thanks very much, guys. And hopefully I will see you for the next one. Until then, take care. Bye.